Pretty impressive, aren't they? Particularly when you know that together they have suffered from chronic and recurrent back pain for over 40 years. During that time, they have tried everything from medication to, well, you tell them.
Physiotherapy.
Chiropractic.
Acupuncture.
Osteopathy.
Surgery. Aromatherapy.
Faith healing and everything else you care to mention, but nothing has worked long term. At one stage or another, all of them have been unable to either lie down, sit up, stand, walk, or perform the most basic of functions. But now they're coping, and it's all down to something called back pain management. Let's find out a little bit more about it with chartered physiotherapist Carol Sweet. Hello, Carol.
Hello, Judy.
And with her is Maggie Haywood, who got this whole video off the ground. Hi, Maggie.
Hello, Judy.
Carol, can you explain to me exactly what back pain management is?
This is a method that has developed over the last few years, which will help patients manage their own pain. They feel very firmly that they've lost control, and through losing that control over their pain, they stop doing everything. They've become very inactive.
So, for instance, if somebody has had an accident and has hurt their back, and doctors over the years have said, go to bed, lie flat, don't do anything, and that's sort of embedded in their minds, and they think, no, I can't do that, I can't do that. And you're saying now that actually, yes, they can.
Yes, I am. And in fact, it's a very gradual process. They need to be carefully screened before they come on the programme, so that medically and conservatively there are no other possible treatments that can help them. And at this point we can say to them, right, okay, we would like to enable you to become more active by encouraging you very gradually to take on the activities that you have done before, but under close supervision.
So first of all, though, if you have an injury, you have to know for sure that by doing the exercise you're not going to compound it.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And also the patients need to be encouraged by the confidence of the team, because it is a multidisciplinary approach to their management, that there is no further harm that can come to them in spite of becoming more active and in spite of having continuing pain.
Because it's true, isn't it, Maggie, that there will be some people at home watching this who will say, oh, exercise, you know, I can't even walk, I can't possibly do exercise.
They will, but they can.
So tell me about your story then.
Well, I've personally had back pain for 38 years and I've had 3 operations, so I know how all the people out there feel. I was lucky enough to go on a programme with Carol and amazed at the results, absolutely. In fact, because of the programme is why I've made this video.
Let's just get this straight, you are still in pain.
I still have pain.
So what's the difference?
Well, I've learnt to exercise because I know that I can exercise because of being taught by Carol. The fear was taken away because, well, for me personally, because she's a professional person, I felt safe in her company. It was a long process, and for a long time I didn't think it had worked. When I saw the results at the end of the programme, I was absolutely amazed. My movements, everything, flexion, repetitiveness, everything had improved, and I couldn't believe it. And also, when you have got back pain, you're very isolated because really people can't see your pain. No. They don't really believe you. So you feel like you have to sort of justify it all the time. But when you go on the programme, it's like going to an exclusive club. All of a sudden you're with people exactly the same as you. And it really is 3 weeks of joy on the programme that I was on, and also for the programme that Carol does now.
Because it's one of those things, isn't it? Somebody sees you doubled over in pain or going, oh, my back, and they think it's funny, the old banana skin routine, and they don't actually realise how debilitating it is. People
don't really want to know about back pain. If you say you've got back pain, they don't believe you for a start until they've got it, and then they come up to me and they say, oh, Maggie, I'm really sorry, I know what it's like now, I've got it. But the thing is that we've had it for years and years and years.
So these methods that we're going to see today will actually help to convince people psychologically that they can do a little more than they thought they could.
Yes, and it's a very gradual process. We take the patients from learning how to get down onto a mat, how to get on and off a bed, how to get on and off a chair, before even moving into anything more vigorous than that. The exercises themselves are graduated carefully from flexibility to isometric strengthening, and then on to dynamic strengthening. But at the same time, on a pain management program, the patients are backed up by having sessions with a psychologist who encourages them to cope with their stress, manage their pain without resorting to medication, to using techniques to reduce the tension in their body, relaxation, also known as mind-body techniques. Patients are also encouraged to reduce their medication very gradually. So it's not a sudden stopping of tablets. And in fact, patients often say, well, it's reducing the reliance on medication that I've now found so satisfying that I don't have to keep going back to tablets. Some of them have managed to completely come off their medication altogether, but at least also know when it's appropriate to use the medication.
Well, I tell you what, people at home are listening and thinking, well, come on, where are the exercises? Let's see these exercises that are going to make our lives better.
One of the most effective ways of lengthening shortened muscles is by gradually taking the muscle to a point where tightness is felt, holding it, and breathing out slowly. Initially, a stretch will be held for 5 seconds. After a week, this time can be increased to 10 seconds, and after 2 weeks to 15 seconds. We're now going to demonstrate the general stretch. So I'd like everybody to stand with their back to the wall, making sure their hips are against the wall. Now reach up with both arms above your head until you feel the wall at the back of your hands. Also, until you feel a stretch under your arm, your ribs, and your upper abdomen. Hold for 5 seconds and relax. We'll now repeat that stretch, and I will count the 5 seconds that I'd like you to hold the stretch for. So off you go. Raise your arms above your head, reaching up till the back of your hands touch the wall. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Release. We're now going to do the calf stretch, so I'd like you to face the wall, facing the wall, and place both hands against the wall with your right leg behind you, so you're standing in a stride position. Keep both heels on the floor whilst you bend your left knee until you feel a stretch at the back of the calf of your right leg. And release. Change legs and place your right leg forward, left leg behind. Now bend the right knee, keeping both heels on the floor until you feel a stretch in your left calf. And to increase the stretch, push your hips slightly towards the wall. And release. We're now going to do the adductor stretch. So stay facing the wall, place both hands on the wall, and spread your legs wide apart. Now I'd like you to bend your right knee, take the weight over your right leg until you feel a stretch on the inner thigh of your left leg. Hold it for 5 seconds and release. Now bend your left knee, taking your weight over your left leg until you feel a stretch in the inner thigh of your right leg. And release. Now we'll do some freestanding stretches. So if you'd like to come away slightly from the wall with your legs the width apart of your pelvis, raise up your right arm by the side of your head. Make sure it's close to your head. Bend over to the left side, sliding your left hand down towards your left knee until you feel a stretch under the raised arm, the ribs, and your waist. And release. Now raise up your left arm, close to your head. Bend to your right, sliding your right hand down towards your right knee until you feel a stretch under the raised arm, the ribs again, and the waist. And release. Good. We're now going to do the trunk rotation stretch. So keeping your feet the width apart of your pelvis. Bend both knees. Turn your hips to the right. Raise your arms up to the horizontal and then take them behind you until you feel a stretch around your ribs, your waist and your hips. And release. Bend your knees again. Rotate your hips to the left. Raise your arms up to the horizontal and take them behind you until you feel a stretch over your ribs, your waist and your hips. And release. The arching of the back stretch. I'd like you to place your fingers in the dimples at the back of your pelvis. Place your thumbs around your hips. Keep your feet the width apart of your pelvis and arch back over your hands until you feel a stretch in your lower abdomen, and then pause and straighten up. So this isn't a hold, you're going to repeat this 5 times. So just arch back over your hands till you feel a stretch in your abdomen, pause and straighten up. Stretches should be performed at the beginning of each day and repeated twice to prepare the muscles for activity.
Well, Zoe and Colin have joined me now. Zoe, I know you're 13, but people at home are going to be looking at you and saying you're far too young to have a back problem.
Yeah, a lot of people said that to me, that I was too young, but the thing is, you're never too young. You can get it at any age. My back problem started because I do dancing and I wasn't born to be a ballet dancer. Oh. The ballet was just too much for me, the stretches. And also I had a nasty fall downstairs and landed on my coccyx, and I was in so much pain after that. I would wake up in the mornings crying because I had PE that day and I didn't feel I could do anything. I didn't want to go to dancing even though I really, really loved it. I just wasn't in a fit way to do anything. I just wanted to lie in bed and curl up and tell everyone to go away.
But did people believe you? Did they take you seriously?
No, not to start with. Even my mum didn't believe me to start with. She said, "Oh, you're too young, don't be so silly, you know." And I'd go into school and I'd given a letter for PE to say that I had a bad back and I couldn't do some certain activities. And they'd keep pressurising me to bring in more letters because they didn't believe me. But in the end it got so serious that they did.
So where did you go from there?
I went to an osteopath to start with and he did some manipulation. But I went about 3 times and it didn't really help. The pain was still there, very strong, and I'd still be crying because of it. So after that I went to a physiotherapist and she really boosted my confidence and said to me, yes, you will be able to do this and do that and you'll get a lot better. So she just did general exercises with me like the ones we're doing here today. And that's really, really helped me, boosted my confidence as well.
So are you now able to do PE?
I can do some PE. It's just things like circuits where you have to do things like sit-ups and all those things, like fast movement where you're just on a continuous going. But I can do gentle things like basketball, netball, things like that, where I can get a rest in between.
And whereas before, without pain management, you were probably thinking, oh no, I can't do that, I daren't do it.
Yeah, I was really scared that I'd do something. If someone threw me the ball, I'd run away because I thought if I catch it I might like jog something. And I'd be really scared at dancing as well, maybe doing some stamps or some movement. It would really scare me because I think that I'd get something out of place.
So you've got a lot more confidence now?
Definitely.
And Colin, I know you were retired from work. What happened?
It came on very suddenly. One Thursday I had a lot of pain in my back. I had to get out the car several times, driving 20 minutes to the office. And then by the Tuesday I couldn't sit in the car long enough to drive it out the garage. And it was incredibly painful. At first I thought I needed a hip replacement or something. and I couldn't sit down long enough to drink a cup of tea for 4 months. And then with various physiotherapy, I was able to sit down for 40 minutes or so, but after that it got progressively more painful, and I was in pain all the time, and I couldn't sleep for more than a couple of hours even with medication, and this went on for quite a long time.
So did you think there was absolutely no light at the end of the tunnel?
Well, that's right. That's exactly how you feel. You feel, when's it going to come to an end, and nobody can tell you. And the pain management program was the first time anybody actually said something positive, actually said they could help me. And at that point I'd had headaches virtually every day, sometimes for 3 or 4 days at a time, for 2.5 years. And I was taking a lot of medication, and it's just impossible to think when you're full of drugs and you're in a lot of pain, and headaches are very difficult to cope with, in addition to the pain in your back. And I just didn't know where to go. Life just had no quality at all.
So you thought your physical life was completely over?
Well, everything just was, you were just suffering one day to the other. You were just trying to get through each day. And since the pain management program, I'm not taking medication. I'm thinking again. I actually feel as though I've got some quality of life. I'm really grateful to it.
And it's not just a case of gritting your teeth and getting on with the pain?
Oh no, I've still got the pain, and I've learnt to manage it. I've learnt to control it. I've learnt to be in charge of it, and not taking the medication is a big step.
And I suppose it's improved the quality of the life of people around you as well.
Tremendously, I should imagine, yes, yes. You certainly lose your sense of humour when you're in pain all the time.
Thank you.
Colin will now demonstrate the slump stretch. So sit to the front of your chair with both feet flat on the floor and your arms relaxed at your sides. Now relax your low back and round your shoulders, dropping them down towards your hips without leaning forward. Next, bend your neck until your chin is tucked in and you feel a stretch in your upper, middle and lower back. Hold that for 5 seconds and release. Debbie will now demonstrate the pectoral or upper chest stretch. Sitting in a chair, you place your arms behind your back, clasping your fingers together. Now straighten the elbows and raise both arms up behind the back until a stretch is felt across the front of the chest and the shoulders. This is held for 5 seconds and released. Andy is now going to demonstrate the hamstring stretch. Sit to the front of a chair and extend one leg, pulling the foot up towards you to gain the initial stretch. Now hollow the back until you feel a tightness behind the knee and the thigh, and hold that for 5 seconds. Release the stretch by flexing the knee. This stretch can be progressed by using a firm bed or 2 chairs. Raise the foot up onto the chair in front of you. Grasp the chair with both hands and sitting upright. Now extend the knee by pushing the heel away until you feel a tightness behind the knee and the back of the thigh, and hold for 5 seconds. Release the stretch by bending the knee. We're now going to demonstrate some stretches that can be performed in lying. Before that, Helen will show the controlled and safe method for getting down onto a mat. We'll now demonstrate trunk flexion, also known as flexion in lying. The starting position for these exercises are in lying with the knees flexed. The pillow is optional. Pull the knees up towards your chest, grasping both knees with your hands and pulling them until you feel a stretch in your buttocks and your low back. Hold that for 5 seconds and release. This next stretch is known as hip and knee rolling. The starting position is with the knees bent and with the arms outstretched, palms facing down. The knees are moved together to the right, keeping the feet on the floor until a stretch is felt on the waist and the hip. This position is held for 5 seconds and then the knees brought back to the centre. This exercise is repeated to the opposite side. Take the knees across until a stretch is felt by the waist and the side of the hip. Held for 5 seconds and the knees brought back to the centre. Helen will now demonstrate the quadriceps stretch. The starting position for this is in side lying with the knees flexed. First you flex the top leg, grasp the front of the ankle with the hand, pulling the heel of the top leg into the buttock. Now you extend the hip using the buttock muscles until you feel a stretch in the front of the thigh, holding it for 5 seconds and release. If you are unable to grasp the front of the ankle, you can also hold the back of the trainer like this and pull the heel into the buttock and release. Or you can use a towel which is wrapped around the front of the ankle and held in the hand to pull the heel towards the buttock, and then extending the knee to gain a stretch in the front of the thigh. And release. This is the modified press-up, also known as extension in lying. Liz is lying on her front with a pillow under her stomach. She places her hands under her shoulders, presses down on her hands to extend her elbows, keeping her low back relaxed, and until she feels a stretch in her abdomen. She then lowers down onto the mat. This is not a hold, it's a repeated movement. So Liz will perform this 5 times in the same manner. So push on your hands, raise up, keeping your back relaxed, and lower. And push up again, and lower. Push up, and lower, and push again, and lower, and push on the arms, keeping the back relaxed, and relax down. As a progression, this exercise can be performed without the pillow. Like this. Push on the hands again, keeping the low back relaxed, extending the elbows fully, and release.
Well, Debbie and Liz have joined me now. Debbie, it's hard to think that there's anything wrong with you, seeing you sitting there. So what's your story?
Well, I fell over, basically. I had an accident. I fell over and my back arched far too far. And I later found out that actually at that time I ruptured a disc. But it took a year of going round to see physiotherapists, acupuncture, osteopathy, all those things. It took a year to find out what was wrong, really.
Do you mean to say nobody actually diagnosed that you had a ruptured disc?
Well, no. I went to see a surgeon first of all within about a month. Because my hobbies are sports, he said that it's just a strain. You know, all sports people get strains and try a bit of physio, and that's it. So I tried everything I could think of, and I had to finish my final year at college, and after that then I decided to find out for sure what was wrong.
So what was the attitude of the people around you? Did they believe you?
I think they believed me. I was in pain because I couldn't have not been. I was crying, screaming, everything. But I think it was, they believed me, but because we didn't know what was wrong, you know, it was, how can anyone be in that much pain and not have something wrong? So it was like I was questioning my own sanity. You know, am I going mad? Does everyone feel this amount of pain every day, and I'm just making too much of it? Or it's strange because you think that you've been told one thing from somebody, you tend to believe them. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just a strain. So you just don't know what's going on. There's no answer to it.
You begin to think it's all in the mind then.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Mad. Just feel mad.
And pain management?
Pain management, after having the operations and trying just to get better in my own time, it clearly wasn't getting better. So I just pushed and pushed. I knew there had to be something else, even though they said there wasn't, and finally managed to get on a pain management program. And they just told me the truth. They told me a bottom line. It's not going to get better. You've just got to learn to manage it. And that's all you want to hear, just the truth. Just some baseline from which to start working.
And have you learned to manage it?
Yeah, I'm getting there. Getting there. I'm doing a lot more than I ever could have thought was possible. I didn't see a future, but now I do.
Liz, you're a chartered physiotherapist, so surely it's a case of physician heal thyself.
Yes, I damaged my back in an accident at work, and I think partly you feel it shouldn't happen to you. And there were many other sick people that I was working with in hospital. So I think I pushed myself when I should have been able to manage it in a different way. So I was medically retired and was looking for someone who could help me.
But you must have known people who could help you.
The physiotherapy that I tried, it became apparent that I needed more than that. And went for surgery, and a lot of doctors didn't really know what to do, and so I spent quite a while looking for help, which was a very difficult time, and then when I found people who said they could help and went for surgery, I was trying one operation and really hoping that would be the one, and then it didn't work, and then we'd try something else, and forever really thinking I'm going to be better very soon, and then finding I wasn't, and finding things very hard. So it was very difficult.
So pain management, when it came along, was a huge relief mentally as well as physically.
I got to the end of the road. I'd nearly, on my own, nearly got there, slipped, and then found that I couldn't do anything, became very depressed.
When you say you couldn't do anything, what do you actually mean? What couldn't you do?
I was lying on the settee all day. I couldn't walk. I couldn't sit. I could go to the loo, and that was about it. And I had begun to start driving again, and that slip within a week it all went. I just thought that I'm not going to get anywhere. I was living with my parents. My friends were all married with children, and I was thinking, what's the point? I can't do this on my own, and no one says they can help me. Where do I go from here? Nowhere. And then pain management came along.
So from the time you started pain management till now, how long has that been?
It's been about 8 months. And my life has changed from being able to do very, very little. I'm now living on my own in my own house. I've started work. I'm pacing myself. I've started steadily and built up what I can do. I'm starting to drive tentatively, and life is really good.
Great, that's what we want to hear. Let's see some more exercises.
Isometric exercise is used to maintain and increase strength and improve posture. The following isometric exercises help patients get used to exercising and are initially held for 5 seconds and repeated up to 5 times. After 3 weeks, these can be increased and held for 15 seconds and repeated up to 10 times. The next exercise is the pelvic tilt. To do the pelvic tilt, place one hand under or in the hollow of your low back. Press your back down against your hand and hold. And release. Remove your hand And now press your low back down onto the floor and hold for 5 seconds. And release. During this exercise, you will feel the buttock and abdominal muscles contracting and your pelvis rocking backwards. Leg straightening. First perform the pelvic tilt. Then raise one foot until the leg is straight or a tightness is felt at the back of the knee. Then pull your foot up towards you. Hold this position for 5 seconds. Then replace the foot down onto the mat. This exercise is then repeated with the other leg. During this exercise, you will feel the muscles of the front of your thigh as well as the muscles involved in the pelvic tilt contracting. This is called head and shoulders press and raise. Press the back of your head, shoulders and arms down against the floor and hold for 5 seconds. And relax. Now raise the head, shoulders and arms about 4 inches off the floor and hold for 5 seconds. And relax. During this exercise, you will feel the muscles in your neck, upper back and arms contracting when you press down, and in the neck, chest, arms and abdomen when raising up. This is called bridging. Press down on both feet and shoulders and raise the hips up until the shoulders, hips and knees form a straight line and hold for 5 seconds. During this exercise, you will feel the muscles in your thighs, buttocks, low back and abdomen contracting. Hip hitching. Lie on the side with the hips and knees flexed and with the arms relaxed in front of you. Raise up the underside of the waist, making an arch, and hitching up the hip you are lying on. Hold and relax the waist back down onto the mat. During this exercise, you will feel the muscles of your abdomen and waist contracting and the hips moving. Leg raising. Lie on the side with the knees flexed and the hand placed on the floor in front of your body for support. Straighten the upper leg and move it in front of the body line. Now pull in the tummy muscles and raise the leg up to the horizontal and hold it for 5 seconds. During this exercise, you will feel the muscles on the front and outer thigh contracting. These last 2 exercises are also performed lying on the other side. Rolling over can be performed in this manner. Head and shoulders press and raise. Lie on the front with your arms by your side and your forehead resting on a pillow. Press both arms down and hold for 5 seconds. Now raise your head, shoulders and both arms 4 inches off the floor and hold for 5 seconds. During this exercise, you will feel the muscles in your arms and abdomen contracting when you press down, and in the neck, upper and lower back and arms when raising up. If preferred, this exercise can be performed with a pillow placed under the stomach.
Well, Helen and Andy are with me now, and between you, you've had quite a few operations.
My problem started about 6 years ago. At first, I didn't realise it was related to the back. It started off with leg troubles, which I later found out was sciatica.
It's that awful shooting pain down the leg.
Down the whole length of the leg, yeah. I started off going to physio for treatment. She then referred me to an orthopaedic surgeon who did a partial laminectomy on me.
What's that?
It's where they take out part of the disc. It's at the lower level of the back. Everything was fine for 6 months. I could do anything. Then all of a sudden, for no reason at all, no trigger, it started up again. Went back to see the surgeon. He tried epidurals, sciatic stretches. He put me in a plaster cast jacket for 2 months, which wasn't a lot of fun.
Can I just ask you, that did you actually feel confident that there was somebody who knew what they were doing?
I still trusted surgeons at that time. They're the professionals. That's what they trained for. And yeah, I put my life in their hands, sort of thing. Had the jacket on for 2 months. It made things a lot worse. At that time, he said, "Okay, another operation. We're going to fuse the spine." Had the spine fused. Woke up from the operation, and my legs were agony. It wasn't sciatica. It was nerve pain down both legs. They were in spasms, whatever. At this point, the surgeon said, "I can't do anything for that." And he put me in the hands of an anaesthetist specialising in pain relief. I underwent 6 sympathectomies, which is effectively a temporary nerve block in the leg through injection. Still didn't help. About a year later, I'd been struggling with it. No permanent relief. Medication, acupuncture, aromatherapy, all the usual. And I was referred to a neurosurgeon who decided to put a neurostimulator, which is like a TENS machine, but it's actually in the body. I had that put in. It helped with the leg pain, but it aggravated the back.
Oh.
So it was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. This time I was desperate. I could hardly walk. My life had virtually gone down to nothing.
So what were you able to do on a day-to-day basis?
On a good day, I could maybe walk to the local shops, cook myself a meal, wash, shower. On a bad day, no washing, no food. Maybe walk to the toilet, but even that could bring tears to the eyes because of pain. Well, sometimes I had to crawl. I couldn't walk.
And how's your life now?
Since the pain management course, I'm back in control. I don't take any medication. I've gone back to work recently, still on a part-time basis, but I'm doing it. I've got a social life again. I can go and visit people. I can go on holidays. I've got a life back.
Great. And you, Andy?
I hurt my back lifting at work, which was quite disabling. And I was, after that, following that, I had several bouts of physiotherapy, and I had a couple of epidural injections when I was referred to a specialist. Eventually, I had a laminectomy operation similar to Helen's, and which cured my immediate problem. But I kept having chronic bouts of back pain through overexertion, or what I thought was overexertion, but really was just trying to live a normal life. And this carried on until the mid-90s and got progressively worse. And I was referred back several times to physiotherapists who taught me how to get over the certain condition I was in, but didn't give me any clue as to how I could carry on and get over these problems which kept occurring. Eventually, in the summer of last year, 1995, I injured my back at in a ploughed field. I trod into a pothole, and it jolted the lower back so badly. I was in chronic pain for a couple of weeks afterwards, and it didn't get any better, and it just generally deteriorated until by the couple of months later, it was all I could do to walk to the shops. 100 yards or so was all I could manage without feeling pain, really acute pain.
And nobody had any answers for you?
Well, not at that time. I mean, I went back to my GP, who sort of referred me to a pain management program, which really was a last resort. And I had several discussions with my family as to whether or not it was going to do any good. And I was really depressed at the time and getting worse. I couldn't see any end to the problem. And having gone on the pain management course, they've taught me how to cope with the problems. They've given me a regime to keep myself supple, the body supple, and by stretching and also through exercising. And I'm now able to more or less get back to the state of activity that I enjoyed before I had the problem. And I've always thought of myself as a fairly active person. And I'm now swimming again, and I'm now cycling again, very actively. I can play football with my son again, which is something that I was unable to do beforehand. And I still get setbacks. I know I overexert, but thanks to the regime that I've been taught, the problem doesn't last for long, and I'm able to get over it fairly quickly, without fear of damaging my back further.
And I get the feeling that the other thing that's very comforting about pain management is that you meet other fellow sufferers. I
found through talking to fellow sufferers, I felt my problem was not as bad as I thought it was, because there were a lot of people that were a lot worse off than I was. So that did help me to get better. And therapy's good, and the group therapy is very good.
Thank you.
After performing isometric exercises for 2 to 3 weeks, you should progress to the dynamic program and only use the isometrics after a break of more than 2 weeks or following a flare-up or a setback. The next exercises will be performed with you lying on your back with your knees bent and with or without a pillow under the head. The trunk curl. Place both hands behind the neck and head. Now raise the head, arms and shoulders off the floor until the shoulder blades are lifted and relax. Repeat this exercise up to 5 times. During this exercise, you will feel the muscles of your upper abdomen contracting. This is called hip rolling. Lie with the arms outstretched and the palms facing down. Now roll the hips to one side, keeping the shoulders in contact with the floor, and then roll the hips to the opposite side. And bring them back to the centre. This exercise can be progressed by raising the feet off the floor. Now pull in your tummy muscles and keep the knees together, rolling the knees to the right and over to the left and back to the centre and release. During this exercise you will feel the abdominal, hip, chest and arm muscles contracting. Diagonals. Press the right shoulder and left foot down into the floor together and release. Now reach the right hand to the left knee and press them together and release. Press the left shoulder and right foot down into the floor and release. And now press the left hand against the right knee and release. You will feel the muscles of the abdomen contracting and a rotation of the trunk occurring. Leg lowering. Engage the pelvic tilt. Raise the leg up until a tightness is felt at the back of the knee. Then as you lower the leg, straighten the knee, taking 5 seconds for the leg to reach the mat. Relax the leg and release the pelvic tilt. This exercise will be repeated with the opposite leg. During this exercise you will feel the front of the thigh and the muscles of the low abdominal wall contracting. Weights can be added to the ankles to increase strength. Start with about 0.5 kilogram in weight. After reaching 10 repetitions of an exercise, you may increase the weight. Then get used to the higher weight for at least 2 sessions before increasing the repetitions. High hip hitching. Prop yourself up on one elbow, noting that the elbow is placed directly below the shoulder. Keep the head in line with the body. Now raise the waist to make an arch and relax. Repeat this exercise up to 5 times. During this exercise you will feel the muscles of the side of the waist, hip and abdomen contracting. Lie on one side with both knees bent and 1 or 2 pillows to ensure that the head is in line with the body. Place the upper hand on the floor in front of your body. This exercise is known as leg lifting behind. Straighten the upper leg, placing the leg just behind the midline and with the foot relaxed on the floor. Raise the leg up to the horizontal and back down onto the floor. Repeat this exercise 5 times. During this exercise, you will feel the muscles of the buttock and outer thigh contracting. Weights can be added to the ankle of the upper leg to increase strength. Arms swing back. Straighten the underneath leg and flex the upper leg at the knee. Raise the upper arm until it is vertical. Swing the arm back at the same time as rotating the upper body until you feel a stretch across the chest and around the ribs. Now bring the arm back to the vertical position. Repeat this action 5 times. Your upper leg acts as a counterbalance, so keep the foot in contact with the floor. During this exercise, you will feel the muscles around the chest wall contracting, as well as the muscles of the chest and shoulder. Weights can be added to the wrist for increased strength. This is known as the scissors exercise. Use the same starting position as in arm swing back, but place the hand of the upper arm in front of you on the mat. Raise the underneath leg approximately 12 inches off the floor and lower. Repeat this exercise up to 5 times. During this exercise, the muscles of the inner thigh will be contracting. Weights can be added to the underneath ankle to increase strength. Leg swinging. Straighten the upper leg and raise approximately 12 inches off the floor. Swing the leg forwards and backwards the length of a normal stride. Initially, swing the leg once before lowering. To progress the exercise, swing the leg 5 times before resting. Do not exceed this number, but continue to increase your quota in sets of no more than 5. During this exercise, you will feel the muscles of your buttock, outer thigh and trunk contracting. Straight leg press and lift. Place the hands under the forehead or chin. Now press one leg down against the floor whilst raising the other. Alternate the right and left legs and repeat 5 times. During this exercise, you will feel the low back, buttock, hamstring, quadriceps and abdominal muscles contracting. To increase strength, weights can be attached around both ankles. The crucifix lift. Rest the forehead on the pillow and stretch the arms away from the side with the palms facing upwards. Now press both arms and shoulders down into the floor and then raise the head, shoulders and both arms 4 inches from the floor and lower. While doing this exercise, keep the head in line with the upper back. Repeat it up to 5 times. The upper and lower back and arm muscles will be contracting whilst raising up. To increase strength, this exercise can be performed using weights strapped to the wrists. movements, press and raise. Press the right hand and left knee down into the floor and then raise the right arm in front and the left leg behind you. Do the same movements with the opposite arm and leg. This exercise primarily promotes balance and coordination and challenges patients to remain as stable as possible throughout. To increase strength, weights can be placed initially on the ankles and later on the wrists. To gain greater control of your balance, brace the abdominal and supporting leg muscles. Progress the dynamic exercises gradually at your own rate in spite of your pain, and remember that hurt does not always equal harm. Increase the number of repetitions by 1 at each session, and perform the exercises between 2 and 4 times per week for at least 3 months to gain any benefit.
As you can see, it takes time, hard work and commitment. But through pain management, specifically these exercises, it's helped the group to change their lives, cope with the pain and look to the future. It could do the same for you.